This is where I live. Now I know live is a loaded word, so let me unpack it for a moment. I mean more than counting heartbeats. I mean counting the moments. So let's make them count. This is where my wife enjoys her coffee in the morning, and where I write stuff, stories, ideas, the film you're watching right now. This is where my daughter baked dozens and dozens of chocolate chip cookies, and where I played bartender for her 21st birthday. She wanted pretty drinks. This is where we eat together, dinner parties, birthdays, and family meals, and where I've won at Scrabble and Boggle and lost at most everything else. This is where my son spent hours researching rockets and rocket fuel, turned his loft into a science lab, and came up with other creative ideas. This is where my daughter dreamed about her future as a college soccer player, and where her friendships grew. This is where friends stayed, music was played, and bills were paid. This is where a soccer team worth of 15-year-old girls had dance parties, and where my son beat me at ping pong, and foosball, and Need for Speed. This is where I work out. Okay, where I have worked out. At least a few times. This is where my guitars live. Some are old, some are newer, some were built in the shop just below this studio. This is where the notes floating around in my head become songs. This is where cars are restored and transformed, and from blocks of wood, guitars evolve. This is where we read books on floaties, until the kids invade, and where I swam laps for physical therapy after tearing my ACL playing on a dad's league soccer team. This is where I barbecued a fresh salmon I bought from a fisherman off his boat in the harbor. And this is where we talk about life. A fire has a way of bringing out the important stuff. This is where we play badminton, bocce ball, croquet, frisbee, and soccer. This is where the neighbor kid screamed the entire way down the zip line. Where my son conducted a school research project that was so loud the sheriff's office showed up. Where a friend and I put holes in cans with an old .22 rifle when he was going through some stuff that was easier expressed in shrapnel than words. And this is where we had the best party I've ever been to, my daughter's wedding. This is the launching point for every bike ride and every road trip. This is where a long day gets rewarded, and where serenity reigns. This is what I come home to every day.